episode 19. We're here with Bob Meloni. This episode is brought to you by Marinucci Deli. Lovely refreshments of tonight. Air by Design Heating and Cooling. See, I should have worn glasses, dude. The bags are back. Tonight's very special because guess what? We got one of the best commentators in the studio tonight in the tri-state area. Bob Meloni, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hey, listen, I try to do good because, I'm trying to help, trying to look good, man. Nobody wants to get in front of a microphone or a camera and, and look like a fool, man. I did it plenty of times learning to get better. So, it's all about putting in work in from your craft. You start down on the bottom and you work your way up and, critique yourself. Don't be afraid to, say that you sucked.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Everybody sucked at one point or another. You just got to work at it. Let's do it. Episode number 19. We're doing a giveaway tonight. For those of you that are wondering, how do I win?
You gotta
go on the page. You gotta go on the Instagram page. We put a post up. All you gotta do is like it and put it on your story, and you'll be in. We'll do it at probably like the 40 mark.
40 mark.
Cool. 40 mark.
Nice
40 mark
headphones
in.
too, man. I checked them out. Look at these. Nice piece.
Oh yeah.
I might have to go on myself and try to win it.
Do it up. JBL Live 460s.
460s.
Wireless, Bluetooth, noise cancellation. All right, let's get into it. So, Bob, why are you so good at commentating? We were talking a little bit upstairs, and we've been with a lot of promotions, I should say. I feel like you're like the go-to guy.
Well, first of all, let me just be honest, okay? As far as when it comes to commentating, the team is huge because you need somebody with you who knows a lot about grappling and the ground game and things like that, which is, right. I'm just going to be honest, that's not my expertise. I don't really, I haven't trained jiu-jitsu for a long time. I don't train jiu-jitsu. So you always need that other person with you. I'm more like the Mike Goldberg, the guy who, sells the promotion, sells the fighters. I put my time in learning about the fighters. You do your background. You put your work in before you're in front of the mic. I want to know about that fighter. I want to know about his coach. I want to know about his team. I want to talk to him. I want to know about him. You want to try to, relay that to the people, who are watching. And you know what I mean?
So how do you do? Do you have like a book? You jot notes down? I mean, like what's that process like of getting to know?
Well, first of all, a lot of the guys I've known, the local guys, I know through just, repetitiveness from, knowing them locally, knowing them on Facebook. I might send them a message.
Right.
But a big key is at the weigh-ins. I'm usually at the weigh-ins hosting it. And if I need any more information from somebody or I want to know something, I'll talk to them. I'll talk to their coaches. I'll talk to their teammates. Like, for example, let's put Martinez BJJ out there. If they have a guy fighting for the first time, I'm not going to know much about him.
Right.
But I know all the guys he trains and spars with, so I can talk to those guys, and they can tell me about them. And it's just a process of, trying to learn a little bit about who you're going to be talking about, and that way the people watching can kind of know. And that's big. You really can't just show up to an event and get in front of the microphone unless you're going to be, like I said, the jiu-jitsu, the grappler guy.
Right.
Because you can tell a story. Like when I work with people, like I worked with Earl Small one time, Earl Trouble Small. This dude, because he's such an amazing fighter and a grappler, he tells the story. They see it coming before it gets there. And working with that, like I said, that's what I need because I'm more we got, this color, blue versus red, this guy versus that guy. He's from this school, he's from that school, and you commingle, you mix with your guys. Right now, I'm working at Art of War Cage Fighting with Eugene and Suitcase Kid Aubrey, who has
crazy story.
Yeah, listen, I love the guy, and it's very unfortunate, but he's commentating with me now. He's fought. He knows the sport, so with him, he can tell you what to look for. And like I said, you got to have somebody, and because it's not me, I don't have the fight experience as far as getting in there and doing it myself.
Let me ask you this question: Did you ever commentate with somebody who had absolutely no idea what they were talking about?
I
feel like that would put you in a terrible position.
Really, I haven't, because I usually the people that I've worked for have always been good and they care about their production.
Oh, right.
So usually they don't want to put somebody on there who, like you just said, is poor.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they want their product to be good. So they want to know something a little bit about them before they let them represent their organization.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
when you go on YouTube or like when we used to do XFE, we were on, Comcast Sportsnet. That's your product. Now, even once you have it, people are watching it, after the fact, and they're seeing it, and they're going to say, well, why does XFE, why does Art of War Cage Fight and have this guy that doesn't know shit commentating fight? So,
Right.
once you put something on tape, it's there. So the guys I've worked for, Mike Bickings now, he cares about his product. He cares about
Absolutely.
his fighters looking good.
That was a crazy. That's a crazy show he puts on, dude.
Yeah, Mike.
It's super professional.
Yeah.
If you've never been to an Art of War show, I highly suggest. They got one October 30th. I highly suggest getting out there. What's that? Feasterville? Trevose?
We're in
Sportsplex?
Feasterville, October 30th. Feasterville, and Mike. Listen, Mike puts there's a lot more work than just the night of the fight. Okay, Mike puts in time to his fighters. If you ever see his promos that he does,
Crazy.
Mike is a creative genius. He's amazing on the computer. He's amazing with graphics, and he's an amazing person because he puts in more time to these fighters. And we're talking amateur fighters. We're not talking guys that are that are pros. Mike will do it for anybody because he loves to do it, and he loves the product, and he loves the fighters. He puts more time and effort into fighters than anybody I've ever been around as far as their show. He is not afraid to get down and dirty and give his time to fighters to make them look good in a promo. He's just the man when it comes to that.
Right. So outside interviews, right, you do the My MMA News. What got you started into it? Like, if somebody says, dude, I love MMA, I know everything about it, I would love to commentate. Like, how does one get started in doing that? I feel like that's just like a
listen,
listen,
I'm going to be honest. I got lucky for me to get started. My cousin started Cage Fury Fighting Championships back in like 2005, 2006. So a lot of times you got to know somebody, or you got to be in the business already. You got to be a fighter. You got to be a guy who had fights, because once you get in the cage a couple times, you earn respect, because anybody who gets in that cage or a ring, you get respect, because if you don't respect that person, you're a fool. Because to do that, I have respect for anybody who gets in there. If you're 0-3, 0-4, I don't give a shit. You got my respect, because to do that shows me something about your inside. So a lot of times you have to have experience, or you just have to get lucky like I do. What happened with me was, as far as My MMA News is, I was working at XFE fights. We had 45 events, but Eric Kowal started My MMA News, and he would be coming to XFE covering the shows. And him and I became friends. We kind of bonded, and I had said something to, that would have been a good story. He said, you can write a story for me anytime. So next thing you know, I was pretty good at writing in school, not great. But when it's something I like to do, it's easier to write about something you like to do.
Now, what they have? Did they have a website, like a blog website, or like how?
It's just a website with everything, and it covers. And we've grown to cover everything: UFC, Bellator, everything. So there's stories, there's interviews. I mean, you see me on there all the time. I'll interview some UFC guys, Bellator guys, but my bread and butter, and I like is the regional the most. You know what I mean? So you do a little write up, you do a video. Now it's video. You know what people want to see, when you're doing it, I always tell these guys, if you're in this and you want to, build yourself, what you want to do, you want your face to be seen, you want people to know you, they want face recognition. So I've pretty much graduated to 100% videos. So if I'm going to interview, I'm going to say, yo, Andrew, you got a fight coming up. Let's do some media. Let's get your name out there. Let's get your face out there. We'll do like a Skype interview. I'll edit it up, chop it up, and put that in there, put that link in there with the article. But Eric has taught me a lot, and he's really built at MyMMAnews.com up to something great. We have a great staff there. We do a lot of regional stuff. I mean, a lot of websites, look, your big ones, My MMA Junkie, a lot of the big ones, they don't do any regional. We pride ourselves in, I'll interview a guy fighting for the first time. I don't care, just because.
Maine?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, so I'll do amateurs. It doesn't matter.
Where as far as regional aspects go, right? Where are we talking?
Well, I'll any place. If they have a fight and I see somebody on social media, and listen, it's about getting clicks. You don't want to really interview somebody that, has, 100 friends and it's not going to get clicks. You want somebody who's, because young fighters, like I said, social media is important now for them.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Because you can't just be like a fighter to get on a card a lot of times, because promoters are in the business to make money. So you got to be able to sell tickets. I'm trying to help that fighter sell tickets.
Absolutely.
Which in turn helps the promoter. So you get your face out there, you do a good interview, you get more popular, it's easier to sell tickets. So
absolutely.
You know, it's all part of the game. And like I said, I try to explain this to young fighters early on, and I try to help them, you know, build their brand, help them, you know, sell themselves, how to, you know, what you got to do. Get popular on social media. Sell yourself. Listen, you guys out there chasing sponsorships. Let's face it, man. These guys don't make enough money. I mean, what you're spending on camp and coaches and things like that, and you know, you're not making money at that level. So you're scrounging for sponsors. Hey, to get sponsors, they want to see you on social media. You know,
wearing their shit out there. Absolutely,
you know, exactly. So that's where I come in. I like that part, because my thing is the story of the fighter. When we first started, right, my cousin Felix Martinez, who's in the New Jersey Martial Arts Hall of Fame now, when he came to me and he wanted to start CFFC, he said, Bobby, he said, I love the sport, but one of the main things I'm doing is I wouldn't do this if I couldn't take care of the fighters. He said, for me, it's about the fighters. I've wrestled. I want these guys to be taken care of. I heard horror stories. When they fight for me, I want them to feel like they want to keep coming back and fighting here. I want to have fruit in the back for them. I want healthy stuff. I want water. I want the fighters to be comfortable. I want to take care of the fighters, and that's why I'm doing this.
Right.
That is basically what I've taken to everything I do now, as far as the media and
taking care of the fighter.
I even though I've never fought, I've did 2 celebrity boxing matches. I used to be a rag doll and wrestle and getting thrown around. I wasn't very good. The 2 guys ahead of me were really good. Both went to the States. But so I try to, you know, the story of the fighter, that's what I try to help them as best I can.
Right.
I enjoy what I do. And when you enjoy what you do, it's easier, you know. It's more
for
fun,
sure.
You know what I mean? You
look forward to doing it. You put extra effort.
Yeah,
I feel like you put extra effort into
just
it.
like the fighters ain't making a lot of money. Hey, listen, I'm a mail carrier, man. I've been a mail carrier for 33 years. I'm humping mail. I'm bringing bills and junk mail in your box. But this is fun for me. And like I said, I enjoy the fighters. And even though I never got in the cage, I've seen everything that they have to go through to get to that point.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
The fight through injuries, weight cut, try to get sponsors, sell tickets, opponents falling out at the last minute. These guys go through hell just to get in the cage.
Absolutely.
And like I said, and as an amateur, you're not making it. You make a couple bucks off of ticket sales, okay? Still not that much. So with the story of the fighter and him teaching me, listen, we take care of the fighters. That's what I've carried my entire, you know, career in this for, you know, 16 or 17 years. Take care of the fighter. Give them your time.
You were in it from the beginning.
Yeah, 2005, 2006. I mean,
that was literally like that was the beginning, pretty much, of like when it started like blowing up.
Yeah, regionally, the only one really doing it regularly when I started was Louis Negley of Ring of Combat, and he's a New York guy, and he was started doing shows in New Jersey at the in the casinos, and then along came my cousin. Like I said, CFFC. We started.
So that was your first gig, was CFFC.
Yes, and you know the first event. You know, we rented a van. I'm picking up guys at the airport. I'm doing this and that. I'm a grunt. I'm backstage setting guys up to come out, and I really wanted to commentate. And he's like, Bobby, I need you to do this. It was so bad, the commentators, the second event, he said, you're commentating. Now you were telling me about, you know, how I, you know, got good or how I, you know, learned. My second event, I mean, he brought in Dan the Beast Severin. So, you know, here I am, you know, second event I was ever cage side for. I'm commentating with a UFC Hall of Famer, Dan the Beast Severin. So, you know, you got to be a fool not to suck up the knowledge and see how professional and how he handles it. So
for sure.
When you're around good guys in the business, you just listen to those guys, watch them, soak it up, and learn. Just like a fighter, I try to like compare it. Like I'm trying to do what a fighter does. Like if you're got a fighter, you got a chance to roll with Will Martinez, you got a chance to roll with Sean Brady, you got a chance to do it. Soak up as much knowledge, learn from them, so that you can get better at your craft.
Absolutely.
And that's how I've done it all these years. I've just tried to work on it and get better. I was telling you earlier, XFE, we were at Harris, and that's when Comcast Sportsnet was around, and there was we had 45 events, and they would tape it, and it would be on Comcast a week later, and I'd be watching myself, turning my head, flicking my head, or saying and I'm like, you asshole, don't do that no more.
Right,
and
right,
you
right.
You critique yourself to get better, and I've been lucky enough to have, like I said, work for good people that gave me that opportunity to get better, and that's why, like, I love it right now. Man.
Right,
I'm,
right.
like, right in the middle of all these regional shows, and it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So you mentioned earlier that you did a couple celebrity boxing matches.
Yes.
What's the deal with that?
All right. Well,
what's
so our first promotion, CFFC, kind of like went on. We had Kimbo. We tried to go on pay-per-view. We tried to get a little too big too soon, so we had to shut it down. But in the meantime, I had met a few people, and social media started getting big then too. MySpace left, and Facebook came on, and social media started growing. So I seen Damon Feldman. And this is, I don't know if you guys remember the story with Joey Buttafuoco, and Damon was like, who wants to fight Joey Buttafuoco in celebrity boxing? Damon was starting celebrity boxing, and Damon knew me from, he was at a couple of the CFFC shows, so he had known me from there. So I commentated, I'll kick Joey Buttafuoco's ass, put me in there. Next thing you know, Damon's messaging me left and right, and he's like, and it didn't work out with Buttafuoco, because I don't know if he ever fought for celebrity boxing, but next thing you know, he got Rodney King. And rest in peace, Rodney. I'll talk about him in a minute, but if you don't remember Rodney King, he's the African-American gentleman who got beat up badly in the riots by the police that was on video.
Oh, yeah. That was
like
on the bridge, right? Or
right,
something?
right. Well, they were on a it was on a balcony, I think, or something. But he got beat up real bad by the police, so he kind of got some celebrity. So Damon befriended him, and Damon, was using him to, do some celebrity boxing matches. And he's like, dude, this is 6'4". I'm like 5'9" and a half. I don't care. I'll do it, because what happened was, I wanted to do it for charity. I'm a huge, dog person, pit bull advocate, and I always will get my dogs from the animal orphanage over there in Voorhees, New Jersey. Says, you know what? This money I'm going to make on these tickets, I'm going to do this for charity. I want to do something good. I want to have fun, and you know what? I'm going to sell a lot of tickets. So being the mailman, everybody on my route, the people at the bar that I deliver to, we're coming. So I sold like 100 tickets. I raised a couple grand for the animal orphanage.
Nice.
I actually, listen, to be honest with you too, I really did do a fight camp for it. I took it seriously. I worked out with Al, Mr. Big Buck, who was a professional fighter.
Oh, shit.
I went down to the Shark Tank in Vineland. I worked out with him. I worked out with my other buddy, Jimmy Palma, in Cherry Hill. And I was, doing work for boxing, because I didn't want to embarrass myself.
Right.
Even though it wasn't like a real sanctioned fight, I didn't want to go in there and get my ass beat.
How was it? What was the outcome?
It was great. Now, he won a split decision, and he legitimately won, but he's 6'4". I did well for myself. I landed some body shots.
That's what I was going to ask you. Did you do some Rocky body shots?
Yeah, I did. And there's my Facebook. You can see some of it. I have to show you some of the pictures. But listen, it was all good afterwards. I raised his hand. It was fun. But, the thing about Rodney, rest in peace, he died, a few years later. I got to hang with him too, like, 'cause with the media we did beforehand, and the dude was a super cool dude, man. Really nice. He wasn't like, I'm gonna kick your ass. He was a really nice dude. He knew what it was all about, and I got nothing but good things to say about him. Rest in peace. But it was a great experience. So I did that, and then had a lot of fun. Damon, of course, loved me because I sold over 100 tickets, and Damon's trying to make money, sell tickets. You know what I mean? So he was doing another one for at I think it was in Gloucester when it was open. What was that? There was a bar over there in Gloucester. I forget what it was. It was a long time ago, but there was the whole thing was for charity. So he hooked me up, boxing another guy, and I was like this quasi celebrity, but he brought in somebody for me to box, and I did it again a second time, and that was a lot of fun, and that's the really extent of my getting in a cage or a ring. I mean, I did train years ago at Tiger Schulman. It was called TSK, Tiger Schulman Karate, before he switched it to TSMA, Mixed Martial Arts, because obviously.
Is that what you did? You did karate there, or did they have everything?
Well, it's basically mixed martial arts, but instead of jiu-jitsu, they called it submission grappling. So it was basically kickboxing, which was my favorite class to take, and submission grappling they had as well. But I did that for a few years, and you know what, man? My body got beat up. I wish, family, got to take care of the family, got to work. Listen, I wish I could. When I retire, I may try to train again when I retire. We'll see if my labrums will hold up, but that's really the extent of what I got into training. So,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go into some in-ring interviews, right? Because I feel like you got to be on your P's and Q's for in-ring interviews, man. I mean, maybe I'm looking too much into it.
No, I feel like if you have the confidence to go in there, but I mean, yeah, you definitely you say one like stupid thing and you're looking back at it and you're like, oh, what the fuck, man?
Right,
what the
right.
Fuck was I thinking?
Right. So craziest in-ring interview.
Oh, crazy! Now you got me on there, man. There's been some crazy ones. You know what? I'm gonna give this one just off the top of my head. Ryan Kim Cafaro. After he won,
He's the man, by the way. Ryan's the man.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Cool dude, man.
He had a amateur title fight at XFE against Sharif Jones, and
I remember this.
there was almost there was a lot of talk and a lot of going back and forth beforehand. And Ryan is very demonstrative with the way he looks, his eyes.
Yeah.
He's like very, and he's just a funny, outgoing dude. And that interview was just nuts because next thing you know, he was saying something about Sharif. Sharif's coming over. There's pictures of me holding these guys back. I'm like, got to be the peacemaker. That was crazy, man. That was.
You remember
really
when Sharif and Will had that?
Well, that's my next one. I'm going to tell
We
you.
had
You
that
brought that up.
that beef.
Well, listen. This is what happened in that fight. Okay. Now that fight, they both sold a lot of tickets. Okay. This was also at Harris, and what happened was before their fight was ready to start, these people in the crowd are fighting, and it got crazy, like riot level. So and nobody's doing anything. People are like wondering what's going to happen. So I went and I grabbed the microphone, and I said, and I flipped out because I listen. I'm like a passionate dude. I sometimes my mouth I'm loud. Whatever. You assholes! These two guys just trained their asses off, and the state is going to cancel the fight because you guys are acting like a bunch of morons. Now stop fighting! And basically, I had to yell at the crowd. And then after I was done, then somebody else took the microphone because that's what was going to happen. That fight wasn't going to take place because they were going to shut it down. Those guys trained the whole time. They wouldn't have got paid. They were getting their whole training camp. Yep. The state was ready to cancel the fight because that was the last fight, and the crowd was nuts. It was a dangerous atmosphere.
Right.
So after that, so thank God that got calmed down. They had the fight, but then after the fight, it was still crazy. So the interview I did with him, with Will afterwards, I actually got my phone, and my buddy Lance Stein, who was there taking photographs, he came in and did the interview with he had my phone. He videoed me interviewing Will on my own phone. Then I put it on Facebook afterwards because it was such a shit show at that point that there wasn't no camera in there doing it. So I used my phone, put it on Facebook. After that fight you're talking about, Will versus Sharif, it was a crazy night.
Damn.
Yeah.
For that company in the trenches, your own phone, and that's
was that in Feasterville too?
No, that was at Harris.
Oh, Harris, right.
Chester, yeah. Shit. We had 45 shows.
I remember it blowing up on social media that like this crazy bad blood was going down between Sharif and Will Martinez, and I was just like, dude, this might be bad because even though Will doesn't really like, if you know Will, he doesn't get nuts like that really. Like he doesn't talk shit. He doesn't, you know what I mean? But I don't know. But that was for Art of War, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. That was back in XFE. They fought again. No, that was.
I think that was Art of War. That was the Art of War.
That was that's when we. Yeah, you're right.
That was Art of War.
Art of War. My memory, man. Listen. To be honest with you guys, listen. I've lost track. I've been cage side for over 1,300 fights.
Oh my God,
dude! I have been blessed, dude. Listen, that's one of the reasons. Listen, I seriously,
holy shit,
since 2005. I mean, 1,300 fights. I've been by the cage for. That's why I could never go to a UFC event. I'd be bored. I have to be right. I'm so spoiled to be right at the cage. And I'm telling you, I went over and counted all the fights, and it's just, and in different capacities, commentating, post-fight interviews, media. I mean, dude, I've been cage side for a bunch of guys who went on to the UFC. I've been really blessed.
Let me ask you this: first cage interview, in-ring interview. Were you nervous?
Oh yeah. Like I said, even after the first couple years, I was nervous. Like I said, and I would be shaking my head, and like you were saying about messing up. what you do is, right, is you just have to pay attention. Watch the fight, right, as a fan, and you want to ask him, like, if you're watching a fight and what would the fans want to know about that fight? Like, was there like a close submission? Was there did you get clocked with a left hook? Did that head kick hurt you? You're watching it, and what you want to do is you want to kind of ask them what, you watched it. What do the people want to know about that fight? And that's kind of how you do a good interview, and not get in there and, like you were saying something stupid, making yourself look like an ass. Pay attention to the fight.
Right.
Sit there and watch the fight. Look for key moments, and remember that. Write it down. Take notes. That way, when you go in there, you know what you want to ask them about. Because the people that are watching that fight, they're thinking, what do you?
Right.
You don't want to just ask them, what do you think about your performance? You want to ask them, that rear naked choke in the second round that you escaped, that was close. How tight was it? Or that head kick, were you really rocked? You want to ask them something about the fight. Pay attention.
Well, let me ask you this: Do you have like a screen of the event going on in front of you, or you just?
Not right now, I don't. And listen, and for me right now at Art of War, I'm doing commentary and going in and interviewing. So, and sometimes sending the results, but it's more difficult. I might write something down, or it has to be memory. But when you're commentating and doing that, you don't have the screen there, so it's a little bit, it's much more work. Commentating is much more work because you're working the entire time. You have to know,
right?
When you're just doing post-fight interviews, which I did a lot of times, you're taking pictures with Sammy Oropesa, you're fist bumping people, you're hugging, you're taking pictures. You have much more relaxed time, downtime when you're just doing post-fight interviews. But when you're doing Joe Rogan duty, doing both, you really got to be,
Right. So we had Paul Felder on about a year and a half back, and it was right when he was just getting into the commentating aspect of it, and he literally don't quote me on this. It's on our YouTube, the episode, but he says that he literally has to study the guys that are on the card that he's commentating. Like, it's like that's like a whole nother job within itself. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of crazy.
And he's amazing. He's amazing at it.
Well, so I asked him, I was like, do you think, because he went to Philadelphia Performing Arts, and he took up acting.
Yes.
And I think he was just on Hacks on HBO, the show. Yeah, like, so he has like an acting school background. And I was like, do you think that played a part in like why you do that so well? And he was like, absolutely. It's just like, I don't know.
Listen, he has everything going for him. He went to school for acting, so he kind of knows about being in front of camera and speaking. And he's been in the cage with some of the greatest fighters of all time. The dude is a warrior. So he has all that experience from being in there, training his ass off. He knows everything about. There's nothing that he hasn't seen in there.
Broke my heart when he retired, man.
Yeah, I love it. Dude, did you see how thin he is now, dude?
Now he's doing Iron Man.
Cycling and everything.
Well,
I think he can fight again.
He's doing Iron Man competitions.
He's so thin right now. Dude.
I know.
I hope he comes back sometime, man.
Hopefully he fights in Brooklyn. That'd be crazy.
You're not a Conor guy?
I like Conor because he helps sell the sport, but I think his fighting acumen is a little overrated, and I think Paul could knock him out.
Well, so if we want to dip on the Conor a little bit, I can definitely do that. So I definitely feel like if you're going to stand up and throw kicks like a kickboxer with like MMA gloves on, because I'm pretty sure they have those somewhere in the world. But I don't know. I feel like now, like he's been out of it. He's been out of the game for a little bit. I don't know. I feel like you have to be in there constantly to evolve with the sport and with what's happening, right? I mean, Khabib beat the balls off.
Right. Well, listen.
You know what I mean? It's like one of them things where you're just like, dude, you got to do something.
But the thing is, though, you always have to remember it's not always about the fighter and it's not always about the sport. It's about the green.
Oh,
the
sure.
money.
Absolutely.
Conor is the Muhammad Ali of MMA. He sells and solds himself better than anybody ever has. So,
absolutely,
he creates interest, and he's going to make money for the UFC. So even though, like what you're saying, he's not in there all the time, the evolution, the UFC don't care because they want to make money.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Make them money.
Absolutely.
So, but as far as what you're saying, if he wanted to be the greatest of all time fighter, then he would do that, be in there more, like you said. I mean, listen, how much did he make from boxing Mayweather?
$100 million.
Right. When you make that kind of money, I find it hard to believe it doesn't change you some. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah,
You don't have work ethic,
you got guys
really.
right now, the guys that you're fighting, the guys that are in there, they're fighting to make $1 million or a couple $100,000. So
right.
They are more hungry. They have more desire because they're fighting for their life. They're fighting for their career. They're fighting for their family. Dude, Connor's family's set for life. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a different
Well,
level.
here's the way I think about it. He hasn't won a fight since 2019. He might be able to sell fights now, but if he keeps getting in that cage and keeps getting beat up or keep losing fights, I mean, eventually that train's going to come to a crazy halt.
I agree with
you know
that,
what I mean?
but I mean, like, I
wanted him to beat Mayweather.
So did everybody.
I hated McGregor. Like, McGregor was my, like, I hated the dude. But then when he's boxing Floyd Mayweather, I'm like, I want him to win. Like, let's show that he can do it. Whatever. And he didn't win, but still, you know, and I got called out for that too. Because I jumped on the wagon of McGregor. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a boxing match against Floyd Mayweather.
MMA fans all wanted him to. And the thing about Conor is, if he was ever going to fight again, he's got to fight a striker. I mean, listen, Khabib is a different. He's just
different animal.
Yeah.
Do you think he retired too early?
Yeah,
listen,
100%.
He would still for him. That's what he wanted to do. I mean, he where he's from, he has more money. Like where he lives and his cost of living. I mean, he's a multi-billionaire. I mean, he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh sure.
So he doesn't have to. But, you know, I guess maybe he doesn't love it as much because if you love it, then you would keep doing it. I mean, he's still training. He has his own team and things like that. Of course, I think he retired too soon. He could have won more fights. I know Dana White tries to talk him into coming back. You know what I mean? But I don't even want to see him fight Conor again. It would be a waste. It would be the same thing. I mean,
right.
You know?
Right.
But as far as Conor, if he fights again, I mean, he needs to fight somebody that's a striker.
What do you think about these celebrity boxing matches?
Listen.
Like, Anderson Silva just iced Tito Ortiz, badly. Did you see this?
Unfortunately, like I said,
it's blowing up.
If you're a hardcore sports guy, then it bothers you because they're doing it for the check, guys. I mean,
for sure.
I mean,
and then that's another thing too that kind of strikes your mind a little bit, right? It's just like, damn, is it gonna be a good show, or like, do they know they're getting paid either way and they're just gonna kind of half-ass it, right? What do you think about Tyron Woodley losing to Jake Paul?
Listen, Tyron Woodley, the last few times he's been in the cage, he hasn't been good at all, and that was just a cash grab. I didn't expect him to win. To be honest with you, though, I thought he performed. I thought he was going to get knocked out. So, listen, he went the distance. I just, like I said, it was
you thought Woodley was going to get KO'd? They're fighting again. He actually got the tattoo.
Are they really going to fight again?
Well, I think they need to. I mean, I don't know. Like, I grew up like my generation. Like nobody likes Jake Paul. He was like the big villain or whatever. But I mean, he can fight. Like at this point, I can think we all can say like he's a fighter. He's gotten punched in the face by some of the world champions. Knocked the world champion out. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's a different. He needs to get a striker in there. But he's definitely playing his cards right. He's definitely doing. You know what I mean? Like he got. Oh, let's get him against an athlete. So then he boxed a basketball guy, and then it's like, all right, well, let's get him against a fighter. So he boxed a wrestling major in that, and it's like, all right, well, let's get him with somebody that can strike. I mean, Tyron Woodley, I don't think he's like an amazing striker, but I don't know who they're going to get in there next. But it got to be, I think it has to be a boxer at this point.
I agree. And the thing is, I originally didn't like Jake Paul. I really was like, but then when I saw him. Speaking up for the fighters. Listen, I love the UFC, and I know Dana White's done a lot, but I'm always going to be an advocate for fighters and making more money. I mean, so when
apparently they're coming out with a union.
Yeah,
you hear this?
Yeah, he's speaking out. He's telling Dana to pay his fighters and all, and Dana's like, "Well, you do with them." And you know what? That sucks because the UFC makes so much money.
Oh, boogie bucks.
Unfortunately, the fighters are only getting a small portion of the revenue when you compare. And I say I'm comparing it to other sports, and it sucks because everybody wants to get to the UFC, and really only the top guys are getting there. I mean, there's no health benefits, there's no pension and things like that. So, and as a fighter, you only got so many years to take advantage of that.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean? That's why
for
guys
sure.
Like Chris Dawkins, who is a police officer, and he's going to stay why does he want to give his pension away and his benefits? Because you one or two fights and your career could be over, and you gotta
He's done now though.
Is he?
Chris?
Is he?
Yeah, so July 25th was the 10-year anniversary. So it was we went in the academy in July 10th or July 25th.
Okay.
2011. So I think it was the 25th. He said it on the podcast, July 25th. He was officially retired.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yep.
Guess he's getting balls to the wall.
He said it live.
I better send my boss that message because he was asking me, and
Yeah. No, he said it live here on the podcast, man. He
I think it's
10
best,
years. 10 years, and he was out. I mean, think about this though. Imagine that.
How many years you got to put in to get your?
I think 5.
It's 5. I think it's 5 or 10. One of the two. I don't remember.
5, doesn't it?
I don't know. Well, we put in 10 years.
Yeah.
But think about this. When you have 4 fights in the UFC and you're ranked number 10, all while only having Sundays and Mondays off, working 8 hours a day. Think about that. Think about how much better you could potentially get by dedicating your entire time to the craft, right?
It's insane.
Think about this. He has a big fight coming up. Huge fight. What's Derek Close? Number 4 right now? Or 3?
Well, see, the thing is, I'm sorry that I missed that because, if you watch, leading up to his last fight, they had video of him in the police car.
Oh, yeah.
He talked about after the one fight, I'll fight Stipe, the police versus the fireman.
Oh, yeah, badge versus badge.
I didn't realize that he was actually he was retired, but you know what? That's great if he can donate even more time.
Oh,
to
dude,
fight.
that's what I'm saying. He's
right now, the more he can train and the better he can be because he has a huge opportunity right now. I mean, he's been in the UFC 4 straight fights, 4 knockouts. I mean,
right.
Main event now. I mean, he has a fantastic opportunity. I mean, the heavyweight champion of the world is to get to that close to that point is something
Ngannou
is incredible.
Ngannou scares me a little bit.
I was gonna say, do you think he would be a good match? I'm not saying he's his skills aren't qualified. That clearly he is, but I mean, I don't know. Ngannou
as far as Ngannou, well, put it this way: Stipe beat him.
Yeah.
And what he TKO, right? TKO'd him 3rd or 4th round. I feel like he's another one, dude. He's a big guy. I mean, I don't care how much muscle he loses, man. I feel like his gas tank just isn't what it has to be to fight somebody like Chris Daukaus.
Who's the other guy? The other guy that's from I don't know. He fought over in France with Ngannou. He was one of his training partners.
Kane? Oh no, Gane.
No, Cyril Gane.
Cyril Gane. He's the interim right now.
He's
the interim
He's a beast.
champion. So I guess it's got to be Ngannou.
John Jones. I mean, if you look at the heavyweights, I want to see these guys get busy because, like you said, you got Cyril, you got Ngannou, you got Jones who ain't fighting. But what just happened with him? Who knows when he's going to fight?
I don't think he'll ever fight,
but the
dude.
thing is about
That's so depressing.
And I say this when people come to me because they know I'm involved. They ask me about guys at work who gamble on it. They always ask me, "Who do you like?" And once in a while, I'll tell them who I like. But what I tell them is, "Look, dude, it's a fight." I said, "Whoever has the best night." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could fight a guy, 5 or 6 times, and you might win 2, he might win 4. It's and you could get punched in the face, and I mean, so it's such a hard thing. Some fights you can tell when you see a big underdog or whatever, but the heavyweights, one punch can change everything.
Absolutely.
When you're that big. You know what I mean? That's why when they come to me, you're like, if you lose this bet, don't hold it against me.
I'm not paying you for it.
I'm telling you, this is who I like, but it's not a lock because it's a fight and anything can happen. A dude could catch him in a submission. I mean, so it's sometimes it's like I said, I'm not going to tell you, bet all your money, bet your house on this guy. You know what I mean? Because like we were just saying, it's a fight, man. It's a fight.
Right.
And, that guy trained hard too.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of the Ortega Volkanovski, the championship. Oh my God, Ortega should have won 3-4 times in different submissions. He had him in the craziest shit that I've ever seen, and it was so tight, and it was just how do you not finish there?
Right.
First 2 rounds I would have gave to Ortega hands down, and then after that he just fell apart.
Dude,
I shut it off after Kyle.
Cejudo's.
We'll talk about that. Hold on, real quick. Let's get this done. You want to go on and see if there's any late entries. Real quick, we're going to give away these headphones, JBL 460s. Go on our Instagram. There's a post, our last post. You got to like it and put it on your story, and we'll do it. We're going to get into this, the up-and-coming MMA guys, and there's a lot of them. We're going to get into this. We're going to put these in. I'm going to put them in my phone, and we're going to randomize it. We will randomize it. Let's do it. Any?
You want me to? I'm looking now. It looks for to see.
Hell yes. Nourishments. Marinucci's Deli. Best hoagie shop in Philadelphia. I love it. Do you enjoy the Marinucci's hoagie?
Dude, that was the first time I had it, and I'm telling you, my first bite, I was like, pow!
He was like, holy shit.
The roll
right,
makes
the hoagie.
Right off the get-go, the meat was super fresh. It's tremendous. Listen, I can't argue with you, dude. That fantastic hoagie, dude. Great grub.
Marinucci's unbelievable. Air by Design Heating and Cooling. Great work ethic. Crazy prices. I don't even know how Gibbs makes a living. That's how cheap his prices are. This dude, Andrew Gibbon, owns Air by Design Heating and Cooling. And he literally works with the people. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. He's licensed. I don't know how he does it. Hit him up. Instagram, Facebook. All right, look, new up-and-comers. Philly's a blooming flower, I feel like, at this point.
Listen.
What is happening in Philadelphia right now? Like, what are they putting in the water?
What I'm loving right now is professional mixed martial arts. This is the greatest ever right now for Philadelphia that we've ever had. Mm-hmm. It's incredible the amount of quality, not just fighters, quality talent that's coming out of this city and this area. They're putting on. Listen, if the UFC ever came back to Philly, which I don't know if they will or not right now because of what's going on with COVID and that kind of bullshit, you know what I mean? But if they ever came back here, they could do a show with so many Philly guys. And if you want to talk about, let's give some love to all of them. I'll mention all of them. First, welterweight. I was cage side for him when he fought at CES. Jeremiah Wells, 170 pounds. He's had one fight in the UFC. It was a spectacular finish in the second round. The dude is talented. He has, I'm hoping he's getting back in there soon. Tremendous fighter, great work ethic. Out of Gracie, Philly, really great fighter. We got him. Let's move on to Pat Sabatini, 145 pounds. His last fight, he was
Choked
almost
the dude out conscious.
Yeah, and then he wound up blowing the guy's knee out with a tremendous submission.
Yeah, that's right. My bad. Heel hook.
Right. And he was almost knocked out. He was apologizing performance. Dude, you just were amazing.
I seen that.
You got a performance bonus for that.
Did he?
Yeah, he got a performance bonus for that.
Well, that's rare. You don't really see heel hooks.
Yeah.
These days.
But Sabatini, like I said, the kid
came back from a crazy injury.
Jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's been in the sport and a hard worker and an instructor for a long time.
And he came back from a crazy injury,
yes.
Elbow. Remember
Yep.
that was a CFFC.
Yeah.
That arm bar, right?
Sabatini. Then let's go on to my dude, Senior Perfecto, Bill Algeo. Now his place, Algeo Kickboxing MMA, that's in King of Prussia. But he made his bones in Philly. I mean, he's trained at Balance. Yeah. He's trained with Martinez.
Yep.
He's trained a lot of Philly. I consider him a Philly fighter because now that he opened his own place, it's in King of Prussia, which is outside of Philly, but he's still a Philly guy. Bill Algeo is a tremendous representation of this area. He's a great guy, and you know what I love about Bill is, let me tell you a quick story about Bill Algeo. Bill Algeo got his arm broken in his professional debut by a white belt, and this is when Bill, at XFE. Here we go, waiting for the main event, and Bill Algeo, he's going to get the crowd going nuts. Got caught in an arm bar against a white belt. Bill was a black belt, all right? And he broke Bill's arm. Now, Bill, when he first started, Bill was like a grappler, a jiu-jitsu guy. He met up with Eric Carner at one of his fights. This is from Bill's mouth. This is what Bill told me. I talked to Bill a lot. He told me, he said, this fight, I met Eric Carner, who's a crew in Muay Thai.
Right.
And he wrapped my hands, and I really loved what he had to say. And ever since then, those two guys have been inseparable. Now, you watch Bill Algeo fight, he don't give a shit about his grappling. He don't give a shit that he's a black belt. Right. He wants to stand up and throw, and he throws everything, man. Yep. He's so fun to watch. Elbows, knees, spin this. Bill is an awesome dude. His school is great, one of the best schools around. And I think he's got 3 fights in the UFC. He's 1-2. I'm looking forward to his next one coming up.
Right. I've been at a couple Saturdays at Martinez with sparring with Bill.
Yeah, he's
beat the balls off me, but
great guy. Then we can move on to so many. Of course, let's talk before we don't want to blow Paul Felder off because Paul, was really.
Oh yeah.
The first was Eddie Alvarez, the underground king. He was really the first guy, and he was always representing Philly, but he was always by himself for so many years. There really wasn't anybody else.
Fought everywhere,
right?
Dude.
And then Paul Felder came in, and listen, Paul has been in some of the most memorable, amazing fights, bloodbaths.
Terrible,
dude. He is. Just,
remember when who was that caught him? They stopped the fight. I think it was in Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, he fought Hooker. He fought so many guys. Paul Felder is just an animal, monster, great guy. And now he's transitioned into one of the best commentators and post-fight interviews. Paul Felder is such a great.
He puts the work in, man. It's crazy. Yeah. He literally does his homework on everybody, no matter who they are.
Right.
And he just knows how to work the mic. I guess I don't know. It's so natural when you hear him in there.
And you hear him too. He loves. Like when guys from Philly, I remember when Chris Dawkess was making his debut and he was commentating and Chris Dawkess knocked his guy out. Philly is in the house. Paul is, like I said, he even though he went on and started training over at Duke Rufus in Wisconsin, Paul always kept his Philly roots and roots for sure. Philly guys.
Absolutely.
He's a Philly guy at heart, the Irish Dragon.
Absolutely. Grace Ferry's finest right there.
Yes.
Grace Ferry's finest.
Yes. So then let's move on to the Dawkess brothers, okay? We got Kyle, who we were just talking about, that we had the double headbutt the other day, and that was a big fight. Unfortunately, they've just rescheduled that for November 13th.
Yeah.
And Chris, his brother, who is the heavyweight, 4-0 in the UFC, 4 knockouts. He's fighting in the main event against Derek, the Black Beast.
December 13th,
right.
man.
Now, let me tell you something, okay?
That's going to be...
I go back, listen. I go back so long. I was working at XFE when both of those guys were fighting as amateurs. Kyle Dawkins started out as a heavyweight, okay? And he was not in great shape. This dude, he worked his way down to light heavyweight. He worked his way down to middleweight, and now he's in the UFC. Such a fine example of not being given anything. Kyle Dawkins worked his balls off to get better and to get to that level. And it's such a great thing to see because, like I said, he was out of shape. He was heavy. But Will Martinez, dude, is... I can't say good enough things about Will Martinez. What an asset he is to the community and his fighters.
He's unbelievable. What's crazy is that Kyle even went as far as getting certified in the Dolce diet. Do you know what I'm talking about? I forget his name, but it's like a crazy-ass system of eating or whatever, and he became like an ambassador for them, and then he applied that to himself, and he went from that sloppy heavyweight to this like fine-tuned machine. I'm going to steal a Waterboy line there.
He's got cardio for days. So he's not going to get tired in a 3-round fight. And then even his brother, who's a heavyweight, he's fighting at 231 now. Chris, he's always had knockout power at one hand, but the way that he reinvented himself by cutting 20 or 25 pounds, having unbelievable cardio for a heavyweight, kept his knockout power, and he uses his speed. So now he reinvented himself as a smaller heavyweight.
That's power bipolar right there, dude.
And still has power. And both of those guys are strategists, smart, intelligent,
and great golfers.
Reflection of their coach. Are they? They're great golfers.
And phenomenal golfers,
No kidding.
Phenomenal golfers.
The UFC doesn't work out. The PGA is looking for people.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. Now, Chris Dawkins is an animal. I mean, dude, he's crazy weight, walk around weight now at some point. I mean, I feel like he's in the position where he doesn't, I mean, obviously he doesn't have to cut weight, but I feel like he's just constantly working on his ability to go longer, hit harder, and I'm always seeing him, Kyle, who else? There's another guy that's always posting about Powered Bipolar. They're like strength and conditioning coach over in Jersey. Yeah, and
I've been there. Like, I actually went in my MMA News. You can find an interview. I went over and interviewed Rich Polar back in the day. Yeah, Zhu Yan, who used to train over there. Zhu used to train over there.
He fought Chris in CFFC.
Yeah.
I was there for that shit. Crazy.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Who else we got?
Yeah, now I really want to tip my tongue.
I can't believe you're forgetting fucking Pat Brady, dude.
Oh my God, how can I listen?
What about Sean Brady?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sean Brady's, Joe Rogan called him a gorilla.
Sean Brady's fighting Michael Chiesa next month. And let me tell you something. Sean Brady is 14-0. And first of all, let me give Sean a shout out to the best ink in the UFC. I don't know if you saw him, dude. He got even more ink. I'm like, that is and it's badass ink.
Yeah,
Sean
it's like old samurai Japanese.
Yes,
but it's all color.
Dude,
it's all traditional.
Dude, it is badass. I think it's the best thing and thing. And he's 14-0. He's a monster. And the thing about when I interviewed Sean, right, back in the day, I thought that Sean had a wrestling background because he would take people down at will, and this is before he got really great at everything. In the beginning, he would take them down and he would maul them. He would maul people. And I said, man, this dude must have a wrestling background. No, he's just such a great athlete and a quick learner, a quick study that he's able to take people down even without a wrestling background. So and his jiu-jitsu is really, nobody even talks about his jiu-jitsu, but he's great everywhere. He has a really good chance to get in the title contention as well. I mean, Sean Brady, the sky is the limit for him. We were talking about Justin Haskell earlier. Justin will tell you that he's going to be as a future champion. Justin's trained with him. Sean Brady is just awesome to watch. Michael Chiesa is like 14-3, so that's a great fight for Sean. I mean, Sean's going to get like in a top 5 or 7 with a victory there, and
that's crazy. It was an unfortunate injury. I think he hurt his ankle or something, broke his ankle or sprained his ankle.
His foot or something.
Yeah, foot. Who was he supposed to fight before? Was he supposed to fight?
Kevin Lee.
Kevin Lee,
yes.
Right.
Kevin Lee pulled out the first time, and then Sean got hurt. And then in the meantime, they set him up with Michael Chiesa, which is a real nice fight.
He's doing what's he doing? Commentary now on ESPN or something?
Who's that?
Chiesa. He just did the last.
Chiesa, I've seen him in the studio. He is doing.
Yeah.
He is one of. He is one of those guys who is doing some commentary for them and all now.
We went to that fight in Brooklyn when Paul was supposed to fight Alec Quinta, and I forget who Chiesa was supposed to fight, but that's when fucking dickhead McGregor comes out and throws the hand truck through the thing, cuts Chiesa up, and the whole car was just wacky. Khabib was supposed to fight somebody. I forget who Khabib was supposed to fight. But yeah, so at the time, Paul wasn't ranked. So they took Alec Quinta,
right,
and they went the distance.
Yes.
They went all 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Alec Quinta looked like the Elephant Man a little bit, but whatever.
Quinta's on that big card coming up. I'm losing me who he's fighting, but it might be is he fighting Bobby Green? He's fighting somebody. Quinta has a fight coming up, and it's a big card too. It's that big card coming up.
You got to put unlock that. I'll do it.
What's up?
The
names in?
Yeah, the wheel thing. You know what I'm talking about?
The wheel.
The wheel guy. The wheel guy. So what do we got coming up?
What do we got coming up? Well, listen, we got some good stuff coming up. October is a pretty busy month. I'm gonna give a shout out to my guy, even though I'm not. It was kind of far for me, but I was working for Brad Dalton at Stellar Fights. It was just too far for me.
I've heard of that.
But they have he's having his first pro card. Now that's in Maryland, and that's coming up at I believe it's the 16th, or something like that. And Ryan Cafaro's on that card. It's his first pro card. It looks a real nice card. So I'm wishing Brad Dalton, and my man Adam Christ, who's my teammate at My MMA News. He's like the ring announcer for that and commentator or whatever. Want to wish them luck. That's a great show. There's a bunch of local guys on there.
Where's that going to be at?
That's in Maryland. In Maryland, I don't know the name of the venue, but that's his first all pro card, and that looks like a lot of fun. So that's the 16th. Then in Atlantic City on October 22nd, I will be cage side covering Ring of Combat, which is Louis Neglia and Frankie Perez's promotion. Lou has been around doing it for years. He has had like over 140 fighters that has fought for him and gone on to the UFC. All his shows are there's always a lot of UFC fighters present there. Because
like cornering other fighters and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, and cheering on their teammates, their training partners. Lou's from New York, and he has a firm grasp of most of the elite New York talent. And for years, it wasn't legal in New York, so Lou would have to bring all his New York people down, and they would have great fights in New Jersey. And so October 22nd, I'll be cage side for that. There's a bunch of really good fighters on there. Let me give a shout out to my guy Lenny the Gorilla Rufati, who's a great friend of mine. He's on the card. This is a name I want you guys to remember. Dylan the Quiet Man Mantello. He's 4-0 at 155.
As a pro?
As a pro. He trains with Sarah. He trains with Weidman. He's fighting for the 155-pound title. I expect him to win, and don't be surprised to see him win a Contender Series. He's got UFC-level talent. Dylan Mantello, the Quiet Man. When you see him do this, that's him. He is an absolute monster. Like I said, 4-0 as a pro, and the sky's the limit for him. He's a stud. We have Dennis the Great Bazookia is on that card. Now, Dennis fought on the Contender Series.
And this is on the Atlantic City card.
This is on the Atlantic City card. Dennis.
I kind of want to go now. What's that? You said it's at the Tropicana?
Yes. Dennis, I might be able to help you with that. Dennis fought on the Contender Series. Now, he didn't win, but it was one of the best fights they ever had, and he fought a guy that had way more experience than him, had like 30 kickboxing fights.
Damn.
Dennis didn't win the fight, but his opponent didn't get a contract either because he couldn't finish Dennis. But Dennis is a young guy, Dennis Buga. He's only like in his early 20s. He trains with Aljamain Sterling, Merab Davashvili.
Oh, shit.
And these are guys, UFC, that are going to be at the Tropicana.
Right,
so
right.
So there are really, it's a great venue, a great show. So I'll be there Friday night, late start. They start like 8:30 on a Friday. It's a long night. So that's a great show to be at, and I'll be cage side covering that for the website. I'm not working like... It's on Fight TV. My man Matt Culley does the commentary.
Okay.
So I'm at the cage side with my laptop, putting in live results, talking to people, taking results. That's a great card, fun card to be. Plus, you're at the casino. You know who can't have fun, good meals and everything.
Who doesn't love the casino?
Then the next
love the casino.
Then the next week, October 30th.
Art of War, baby.
Art of War cage fighting. My man Mike Bickings, who is like a brother to me. He takes great care of his people, and Deb, his wife, they have really created something special. It's like and when I'm not like exaggerating when I tell you it's like a family atmosphere. I mean, they treat their staff like it's their family. It makes it so much more fun to do. And I told you guys earlier about Mike putting in the time to his fighters. When you see that, you want to help a guy do good because he's putting in his time. He's putting in his personal time to these fighters, helping them sell themselves with these videos. So that's a great card there, too. A couple of the pro fights I want to talk about. Matt Turnbull, White Chocolate,
he's
out
back
of
in
Martinez, there. BJJ. He's fighting Eddie Alvarez, the Panamanian. Eddie Alvarez has been training a little bit over at NPR. And let me tell you something. Eddie Alvarez he has a swimming background. This dude... He's like
cardio
the Energizer Bunny. He can cardio for days.
Dang.
Matt Turnbull hits like a brick shit house. Those guys, I love those guys because they've trained together and they're still going to fight each other, which is great.
Shit.
And then we just had another one matched up. Vinny Oristaglio, who is a Philly guy, trains with my man over at Royal Striking. And
Aaron Meisner.
Yes, Aaron Meisner is an evil genius.
Yeah,
Let
he
me
used to
tell
kick
you
the shit out of me at Fight Factory.
Yes, so Vinny Oristaglio, he's fighting.
You're just a punching bag.
And he's fighting my man Dwayne Crispy Shields from Martinez.
Oh, Dwayne Shields, yeah. I was literally
pro debut.
Yep,
So
I was just going to bring that up to you.
Yeah, that's the two pro cards.
Just sign the papers.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my man, I got it. Listen, I don't want to get beat up, so I got to mention Pat Brady, the Art of War heavyweight champion. He's not going to be at the event because he's getting married and he's going to be on an island. He was saying something about flying back for the event. I was laughing. I'm like, that marriage ain't going to last long. I said, you're going to be your ex-wife. But I have to get a shout out to Pat Brady, who, listen, he just knocked out the #1 heavyweight over in Virginia. He's going to be going pro. Hopefully, he's on our next card. And Pat he's at Martinez now, training. He's the main training partner with the Dawkins brothers over there. And
he's a big dude, man.
And he's a great dude.
It's like shaking a fucking thing of bananas.
Yeah, you know what? He's like Sandman in his hands. You know what I mean? Because he has that boxing background. But listen, he's over there. How can you not get better when you're working with the some of the UFC guys that they have over there?
It's crazy.
So Pat Brady, he's another guy to keep an eye on in the area. And I want to give a shout out to Cressida Adames. Cressida, who is female fighter, and Zed Montañez. They're both fighting on Combate America coming up, and they are both.
Where's that at? Is that normal? That's normally down in Florida.
They've been in Miami recently. They've been in Miami the last few times. I'm not exactly sure where that card is. I just seen Will announce it on social media that they're both fighting on the same card. Zed, I believe, is 4-0 or 5-0. at 145, and this dude is a highlight reel waiting to happen. Dude has everything, and it's just been a matter of, with COVID shutting things down, him having bad luck, not getting on the card. I'm thrilled to see him back. Cressida is one of the top female prospects in the area. She's 3-0, and I'd love to see her win that fight and get on the Contender Series. So
Absolutely.
Martinez has a real strong team right now
crazy
over there, and Gracie Philly.
He's
going to
need a bigger. He's going to need a bigger gym.
Yeah, he's talked about that.
Yeah,
he said.
I always said, I was like, if I ever hit the Powerball, I'm buying a fucking warehouse. I'm lining it up with the best equipment ever, and it's gonna be Martinez.
You must have been reading my mind.
It's gonna be.
I would do the same thing.
100%, dude.
You know,
I'd be like, here, Will. Here's the keys. This is yours, dude.
You know what my dream is, to hit that lottery. You know, if they have, like, over in California, they have Team Alpha Male. It's basically a camp where fighters can go. You can, like, fill out an application and you can go and stay for a couple weeks or whatever. That's what I would love to do. I would love to open up a camp. You know what I mean? Hit the lottery, open up a camp, and, you know, have the fighters be able to come here, have guest instructors. That would be my favorite. If that's when you were saying, if you hit the lottery, that's the same thing I would do. I would have the camp like that and have them set up with fights, and it would be a lot of fun. You
like
know?
a hotel and shit?
Yeah,
like a little outhouse?
Yeah. I have so many ideas. You have no idea.
Donald Cerrone, he has that at his ranch.
Does he?
He has like an outhouse where, like, if fighters come to train, they stay there.
Yeah.
There's like a full kitchen and everything.
Well, if you remember, Paul Felder and Jonathan Webb trained with Cerrone for a while over there, and there was pictures of those guys out with snakes out there, rattlesnakes and shit, man.
That's that real cowboy shit.
Yeah,
dude. He's definitely a real cowboy. What do we got? Let's do it up. Are you spinning it?
Yeah.
Did you type them in?
Yeah.
You're gonna spin it?
You want to spin it?
Let me see.
Yeah.
We'll spin it up. Let's see what we got. We're going to shuffle 3 times.
What are the names on there? Let me see if I know any of these guys. Are these the names on there?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me see what we got here. A lot of people liked it. They didn't put it on their story.
No. Well, they don't get in the...
Jeff Ozinski. Who's that?
Oh, shit. Jeffy Ozinski.
Is that Jeffy Ozinski?
Yeah, it's Jeff.
So I'm going to trade him that for his chain. He wears this bezeled out J chain. It's like all diamonds up.
Okay.
Shit, you can't even see it.
Jeffy, congrats, pal. You're not getting these. Nah, I'm only kidding.
I'm going to go out and sell them on a corner for $5.
Bob, you are the fucking man, dude. Thank you for coming over, dude. I appreciate it so much.
I talked a lot. I'm sorry for drowning you guys out.
Oh, no, dude. I the knowledge and experience that you have, like you said earlier, you got to suck it up. You got to learn from it. Believe me, I have. 100%. Bob Meloni, my MMA news, Art of War commentator. Are you doing any other promotions? Or
I do USKA for Gary Grant Jr. I do the post-fight interviews for him. I was just telling you about the kickboxing and Muay Thai event we had over there. But right now, just that. And listen, my MMA news keeps me busy enough. Art of War is my main.
Final stinger question. UFC comes to you. They say, we need a guy.
Yeah, who's going to say no? Of course.
You doing that?
Of course. But like I said, they have so many of the best as it is right now with Paul and you know, Cormier. And
I'm talking about like the backstage person, the after fight interviews.
Sure. Come on.
I
would do it if you got a fight and did it. I'd go do it because I want. That's what listen. That's what I enjoy to do, man. Like I said, I have fun. I think, you know. And one quick thing is, you know, the post fight interviews are great because fighter just won. They're happy as balls. You know what I mean? So it makes it, you're around fighters. I've got some of my best pictures of my life are from in the cage after fights because fighters are happy. They just won. You know what I mean? You're with a guy who just knocked the guy out or choked somebody out or won. So they're happy. They're smiling, and that makes for good pictures and good times.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. Bob, thank you so much for being here, bud. I appreciate it. Maybe I'll see you in AC.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll talk to you about that in a minute.
Watch some fighting.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm down for that. Listen, we love you guys. Thank you. Episode number 19 with Bob Meloni, brought to you by Marinucci's Deli.